All right, guys, I owe you an explanation. I owe you an explanation because as I record this video right now, it's like 2.5 months after I originally recorded most of the film for our Virago 920 project final video behind me. Listen, normally I don't go that long without uploading. The problem is, here's my dog behind me, that's what you hear. The problem is it has been an insane summer. As far as work, it's been like between 40 and 60 hours a week. And then with the small amount of free time I have outside of work, you have to decide what's most valuable to you. You know, I have a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old at home. So as you guys can imagine, that's the most valuable thing right now, right? So when you think about how much time it takes to come into the garage, and then to film in the garage, and then to take that film and put it on the computer, and then to edit, it's just so incredibly time consuming, right? There's seasons for everything. And this summer, it just wasn't really the season for doing this hardcore. With that being said, I'm not a full-time YouTuber, right? And I'm not a full-time motorcycle mechanic either. You guys are along for the ride as I'm out in the garage tinkering around, working on and building bikes. So I appreciate your guys' patience. Let's finish this build up. As you can see behind me, our Virago 920, what I named the LM 920, is finished. And you know what that means? That means it is time to ride this thing. Now, I have to come clean. I already took it on a couple of shakedown rides. Now, I call them shakedown rides because that's exactly what happens. You ride it and things shake apart and shake off. I always carry a Leatherman with me because you never know what's going to fall off. And a couple of things did, to be honest. One of the brake linkages for the rear sets literally loosened up and fell off. Another one, the intake manifold worked itself loose, so it was just sucking in tons of air. But I wanted to wait to record and make a video of it actually riding, not of me just sorting out tiny little details that you guys know comes up in bikes like this and builds like this. So I'll take you guys around the bike a little bit, show you what I really like about it, some of the things that I don't like quite as much, and then we'll hop on and we'll go for a ride. Now let me start off by saying I love the lines that I built on this bike. I love it. I think the tank flows in perfectly with the seat. I love from the back end how this big fat rear tire, the 2 rear sets just kicking out, and then that tiny little seat up there with the monoshock sticking up. I mean, just the lines of this thing are perfect. That being said, in order for my knee not to hit the giant carburetor intake right there, I have to be pushed all the way back on this seat. Pushing all the way back on this seat, my entire upper body weight is on the handlebars. It is very uncomfortable. Now, that being said, it's very uncomfortable under 60 miles an hour, right? Because at 60 miles an hour and higher, the wind resistance takes some weight off of your wrists and your hands, and you're sort of lifted up off the bars. I think that's the sweet spot for this motorcycle, is 60 and up, as far as comfort goes. Another thing that I love on this bike is the modern suspension. The GSXR-750 front end with the big Tokiko brakes on it, the Yamaha R6 rear monoshock. I mean, it just works, right? Riding down the road, it doesn't feel like a 1983 motorcycle. It feels like a modern bike. Now, that being said, it is kind of stiff, so I do need to adjust some things here and there, right? Of course, both sets of suspension have lots of adjustments. Now, a lot of people were concerned when I built the bike because in order to fit this larger rear tire, I used a wheel from a more modern Virago, right? And what that also does is it gives us this straight spoke pattern instead of the swirly type to match the front. What that does though is it offsets the rear tire by a little bit. If you look really closely, you'll see the center of the tire is actually to the right a little bit of the center of that monoshock, see? So a lot of people were concerned that that wouldn't track straight or something. It's fine, right? It really is fine. When you think about it, the back tire might be 1/8, 1/4 of an inch out of track of the front tire. Honestly, I'm not just saying this, I don't even notice it. I'm really happy with the color choices on this bike. The vanilla ice cream rear swing arm, the bronze chrome accents and wheels, the satin black with the polished fins on top, and then the red fuel line, red cables that I built. I mean, this thing just looks awesome, and I am doubling down on my decision to polish these side covers. I just think that's what sets it apart. There's so many black motorcycles out there. I mean, so many, right? That boom, when you see this, you're like, okay, that's something special, that's something different. And you guys know I can't take the credit for this insane stainless steel exhaust. That goes out to, not a sponsor, the company Mad out of the Netherlands. They made this up to spec, right, per my custom specifications. They have a couple different designs, and it is sick. I'm really happy I went with it. The exhaust on this was one of those buy once, cry once type of attitudes. Now some things that I don't like. I thought I'd really be cool, right? And I was really thinking outside the box by putting everything on one electronic switch. Remember, there's no ignition switch, there's no key. The whole bike powers on with just that button, and then that's the start button. The problem is that most motorcycles out on the road have something on this side. So it looks kind of weird without anything on this side, right? Like, here's just this empty spot. Now, I thought about getting a grip that doesn't have this lip right there. The problem is that all my weight is down on this grip, so I kind of like having that for feel. And these grips, made by Domino, awesome brand, made in Italy, they're locking. They're like proprietary. See that little ridge right there? So you can't just put any grip on this thing. So I don't know if I'll keep it or if I'll change it. We'll see. The last thing that I don't really like quite as much is the quarter turn throttle. So here's zero throttle, here's wide open, zero, wide open, zero, wide open. I'm not sure this bike is meant to be that responsive, right? This isn't like some two-stroke dirt bike that you can just wrap your way to freedom on. And I think it doesn't really mesh too well with the single carb going into the dual intake. Remember, this bike's stock had one carb on each cylinder. So now we're going one big racing carb, right? A big Mikuni VM30. I think cracking this thing open that fast, I just don't think the fueling and air mixture is perfect. It doesn't have quite that responsiveness like if you were to put that on a two-stroke dirt bike. So I'm not sure it's perfect for this bike. It works, as you'll soon see, but I'm not sure it's perfect. All right, James, how about you shut up, start this thing up, and take these people for a ride? All right, let's do it. Now you guys can see that the lift behind me is open. That means there has to be another project coming into the two-car garage sometime soon. I don't know exactly when it's going to be, but I know what it's going to be. It's not going to be another full custom build like the Virago. It'll be a restoration, almost like that Honda Dream that I did a couple years ago. If you want to see what it's like to see me restore a bike in the meantime before I start the next project, go back and watch those. I will warn you though, those were in my early days of YouTube, and let's just say I really leaned in to background music. Now we're almost at a couple thousand subscribers on this channel, and that's honestly more than I could have dreamed of. I knew that this would never be a giant channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers because I'm not out there racing Hayabusas or brand new, supercharged H2s. That's what I would do if I wanted 1 million followers. Instead, I'm doing what I want, I'm doing what I love, and I'm doing what I'm out here doing anyway, right? And you're just along for the ride. So thank you so much for coming along for the ride, for watching after these couple of years. We'll see you next time. Thanks.